It is the middle of harvest, and I have not sat in a doctor's waiting room in 11 years, yet I still buckle the same belt I wore at 30.
My family works this farm from before light to past dark, and not one of us carries the weight so many folks carry now, the kind doctors call a disease and then treat with a pill instead of a plow. Doctors will tell you to count calories, cut carbs, join a gym, read a label with words too long to say, and still send you home heavier than the year before.
But tonight I want to show you the 5 plain habits that kept us Amish lean and strong for 200 years. Without a single one of those things.
I want to be straight with you before you watch. I am not a doctor, and I will not tell you this cures an illness or replaces what your own doctor tells you. What I will show you is why we do not crave sweets, why our plates stay smaller, why we train ourselves around food instead of fighting it, and why convenience never got a foothold in our kitchens.
My name is Ezekiel, and my family has lived this way since we came from the German country
to Lancaster County in 1838. 5 keys in the old plain order, step by step.
Here's what nobody at the clinic wants to say out loud. Doctors did not get heavy because they lack willpower. They got heavy because they live inside the same rigged system they hand out advice against. Fast food on every corner, elevators instead of stairs, screens instead of chores, a whole world built to make eating easy and moving hard. They know the rules of the game, and the game still beats them. That should tell you something. The problem was never a lack of knowledge. A man with a medical degree knows more about the human body than any farmer ever will. And still, he goes home to the same drive-thru, the same recliner, the same late-night bowl of something sweet, because knowing is not the same as living different. Amish folks do not read nutrition labels. Most of us could not tell you what a calorie is. And still, weight is not a fight in our homes. That is not luck. That is not genetics either. It is 5 habits, sitting quiet in plain sight, that the modern world walked away from on purpose, because those habits do not sell anything. Nobody gets rich off a smaller plate. Nobody buys a subscription for eating slower. So the truth got buried under 1,000 products that promise the same result those 5 old habits give you for free. The first key is convenience, or rather, the lack of it. Everything in the English world, that is what we call the outside world, is built to save you a step. Drive instead of walk. Order instead of cook. Push a button instead of use your hands. Every saved step is a step your body never gets back. In our house, there is no dishwasher humming in the corner. There is no truck idling in the driveway to run to the store. If Esther needs flour, somebody walks to the spring house or hitches the wagon. If the wood pile is low, one of the boys splits it right there, by hand, in the cold. None of that is exercise, the way a gym calls it exercise. Nobody puts on special shoes for it. It is just Tuesday. And Tuesday, stacked up for 60 years, is worth more than any treadmill a person quits in March. A treadmill asks you to set aside an hour you do not have, and most folks quit it inside a month because it feels like a chore bolted onto an already full day. Our kind of movement never feels like exercise because it is never separated from the rest of life. Splitting wood is heating the house. Walking to the spring house is getting supper started. The movement is stitched into the work itself, so there is no decision to make, no motivation to find, no gym bag to pack. It simply happens because the day cannot happen without it.
I think of my Uncle Amos, who farmed until he was 81 years old. A doctor from Lancaster once told him he ought to slow down for his heart. Amos laughed, right in the man's office, and said his heart had been beating steady behind a plow since he was 9, and he did not plan to confuse it now by sitting still. He passed at 89, working that same land the week before. The doctor who warned him, I heard later, had bypass surgery at 62. Convenience did not save that doctor. It cost him. Every machine we let do our work for us is a machine quietly working against our body. That is the first key, and it costs nothing. It only asks that you stop paying to make your own life easier. The second key is sugar, or really the absence of the craving for it. This one surprises folks. They picture whoopie pies and shoe-fly pie at every Amish table. And yes, we bake. But sweet food in our house is a Sunday thing, a wedding thing, a company coming thing. It is not sitting in a bowl on the counter every single night. Here is the part the food companies do not want printed on the box. Sugar is not a treat your body enjoys once and forgets. It is a habit your body builds, layer by layer, meal by meal, until you need more of it just to feel normal. Companies know this. That is exactly why sugar is hidden in bread, in sauce, in things that do not even taste sweet on the tongue, because a body that is fed sugar quietly, day after day, will ask for more of it without ever knowing why. We never let that habit start. Children in our community grow up on oatmeal, eggs, bread, milk still warm from the cow. Sweet is rare, so sweet stays special. When something is rare, your body does not demand it. When something is everywhere, your body starts to think it needs it to survive.
Esther's grandmother used to say something I have never forgotten. She said, "A sweet tooth is not born, it is fed, one soda at a time, until it grows teeth of its own." I watched that happen to an English neighbor's boy who used to visit our farm. Every trip, he brought candy in his coat pocket, like it was armor against a hard day.
By 16, he could not sit through a meal without something sweet after it, not because he lacked discipline, because his body had been trained from childhood to expect it. We train our children the opposite way, and by the time they are grown, they simply do not want it. That is not a restriction. That is freedom from a craving most people never chose in the first place.
Now, before I go to the third key, I have to warn you about something, because if I do not, this whole video does you no good. The first two keys, convenience and sugar, those are habits anybody can start tomorrow. But the third key is the one most people quit on inside of a week, because it goes against everything the diet industry has spent 50 years selling you.
It has nothing to do with willpower. It has to do with training your body the way you would train a horse, patient and steady, not fighting it like an enemy. A green horse that is jerked and fought will fight you back every single time. A horse trained slow, the same way, every day, learns to walk beside you without a rope at all.
Your stomach is no different, and most diets fail because they try to jerk the reins instead of teaching the pattern. Stay with me here, because this next key is the one that actually explains why diets fail and why our way does not.
The third key is food training. Your stomach is not a stubborn thing that fights you. It is a student that learns whatever you teach it. Eat at the same 3 times a day, every day, and your body learns to expect hunger only then. Eat whenever a feeling strikes, snacking at 9, at 11, at 3, at 8 in the evening, and your body learns to expect food constantly, and it will ask for it constantly, and call that asking hunger, when really it is just habit wearing hunger's clothes. In our home, there are 3 meals. Breakfast is early, dinner is midday, the big meal, and supper is light, before dark. No snacking between, not because we are told not to, because our stomachs were never taught to expect it, so they never ask. Think about a dog that gets fed table scraps every time someone sits down to eat. That dog will sit and beg at every single meal for the rest of its life, because it learned the pattern once and never unlearned it. A body that gets fed at random learns the exact same lesson. It starts begging around the clock. A body fed on a fixed, honest schedule learns patience, and patience is not a virtue you are born with. It is a habit you build, one meal at a time.
When I was young, maybe 7, I complained to my father that my belly was growling before supper. He told me that was not my belly complaining. That was my belly learning the schedule. Same as a dog learns when the wagon comes home. He said, feed a habit long enough and it will feel like a need.
Starve a bad habit long enough and it dies quiet without a fight. He was right. That growling stopped inside 2 weeks once my body understood supper was coming at the same hour every single day. Most folks today eat the moment they feel a flicker of hunger, and they never let their body learn any schedule at all, so the flickers never stop. That is not a weak stomach. That is an untrained one. The fourth key is the size of the plate itself. Restaurants in town serve a plate that would have fed 2 working men when I was a boy. Portions have grown so slow over so many years that nobody noticed the plate itself was the trick. We do not measure our food. We do not count anything. But our plates are smaller, our bowls are smaller, and we were raised to eat until we are satisfied, not until we are stuffed to the collar. There is an old saying among the Amish, eat until you could eat a little more, and then stop. That last bite you leave behind, most people finish it out of habit, not hunger. Restaurants figured this out a long time ago. A bigger plate feels like a better deal, so a bigger plate sells more, and a customer who cleans a bigger plate comes back hungry sooner and orders again.
It is not an accident. It is a business built around the fact that most folks eat with their eyes and their wallet, not their stomach. Over a year, over 10 years, over a lifetime, that one uneaten bite is the difference between a body that stays lean and a body that slowly grows heavy without ever noticing why.
Esther's mother used to serve supper on plates no bigger than a saucer by today's standards, and nobody at that table ever left hungry. I remember visiting an English cousin's house as a young man and being handed a plate piled so high I could not see the pattern underneath. I asked why, and he said, "That is just how much a plate holds now."
Nobody had decided to eat more. The plate had simply grown around them. One Christmas, one restaurant meal, one bigger box at a time, until more became normal, and normal became too much. We never let the plate get bigger, so we never had to fight to make ourselves eat less. The size was decided before the fork ever touched the food.
The fifth key is variety, though maybe I should call it the lack of it done on purpose. Modern grocery stores are built to put 1,000 different flavors in front of you at once, because a person eats more when there are more choices in front of them. That is not opinion. That is simply how a body behaves at a table loaded with 10 different dishes instead of 2.
In our home, supper is often one main dish, a vegetable from the garden, and bread. Not because we cannot afford more, because a simple table does not tempt the way a loaded one does. Grocery stores are built the same way, aisle after aisle of different colors and shapes and flavors, and every single one of them is designed to catch your eye after your body already had enough. That is not an accident of stocking. That is the entire business model. When there are fewer choices, a person eats what satisfies the body and stops. When there are many choices, a person keeps eating past satisfied, chasing a taste, not a need.
I saw this with my own eyes at a wedding over in Ohio, an English wedding, not one of ours. The table was covered corner to corner with different dishes, different colors, different smells, more food than 100 people needed. I watched grown men go back for thirds, not because their bodies were hungry, but because a new dish kept catching their eye.
At our own weddings, the table is plain. Roast, potatoes, gravy, bread, pie for the sweet, and folks eat one good plate and are done. Variety is not a gift to your body. It is a trap set by anyone who wants you to keep eating past the point your body already told you to stop.
So there you have it, the 5 keys, plain as I can lay them out. Convenience, avoided on purpose. Sugar, kept rare, so it stays special. Food training, a steady schedule your body learns to trust. Smaller plates, so the portion was decided before the meal began. And variety, kept simple, so your body eats until satisfied and no further. None of these 5 keys cost $1. None of them need a doctor's note or a gym membership or a book with a diet plan printed inside. That is exactly why the modern world walked away from them.
There is no product to sell in eating less variety. There is no membership fee for a smaller plate. Nobody makes a commission when you skip the drive-thru and walk to the spring house instead. The truth was never hidden because it was complicated. It was hidden because nobody profits when you live simple. And that right there is the opportunity most people never see. While everybody else is buying a new solution every January, you can simply stop buying the problem in the first place.
I am not here to tell you that you have to live the way we live, out on a farm, off the grid, without the conveniences you are used to. I know most folks watching this are not about to sell the car and buy a horse, and that is fine. I am only here to tell you what has kept my family lean and steady for 200 years, so you can take from it whatever fits your own life. You do not need all 5 keys at once.
You do not need to be perfect at any of them. Start with one key. Maybe it is just a smaller plate this week. Maybe it is one less sweet thing on the counter. If this kind of plain old wisdom is something you want more of, stay a while longer on this channel. We share it often, and I would be glad to have you back. Until next time, from our house to yours, take care of the hands that feed you and the body that carries you through the work of your days.